Good morning and welcome to St Andrews on this, for what have I just read, on this gloriously sunny Friday. It's going to be 20 degrees, how exciting!
Wow.
And with Michael, with Malcolm, with Nadia and with Jingle.
And I just had 45 in the sun in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, shut up, go away.
No, it's not.
Go.
It's actually unpleasant. It's actually, you actually want to get out. It's like sitting in an oven and you just run to the next shaky place or the next vehicle with air conditioning or interior with air conditioning. And they tell me it's only May. The worst is it's going to get hotter.
I know.
But in a very ancient part of the world. Where all these stories come from?
Yes.
Imagine they all suffered the same heat.
At times they did, but at other times I suspect because
It's cooler, yeah, exactly.
It's a bit cooler than that.
Arabic paint has a particular humidity issue, which I think is different in the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Very interesting. First of all, Deuteronomy is very interesting because are these all the laws that there were
These are
600
sort of an
laws,
expansion, expansion in 600 or so. Yes, that's right, the 600 or so.
and this is kind of what they look like, right? They kind of make a lot of sense. Don't
They make an enormous amount of sense. I mean, the first one is about being cursed, being somebody who hangs on a tree. I mean, of course, that has a real significance in the New Testament because that's the whole point. Jesus hung on the tree and he was seen as cursed by God because he took onto himself the curse that God, when Adam and Eve fell, God cursed the ground, let the curse came, and Jesus takes the curse into himself.
It's so interesting because they say you shall bury him that same day, because you must not defile the land as I've given you. It's interesting because that was a cursed person. They must be sort of put into the ground and buried. And
because the ground was cursed as well, you see. As well. I mean, I've just thought of that.
And of course, Jesus, of course, rises up out of the ground, doesn't he?
How interesting. How interesting. Absolutely.
Yeah. He sort of he doesn't stay there like the rest of these cursed people. He's actually, he's coming out of the ground back to life.
Brilliant. And then this thing about just straight compassion about, you don't watch your neighbour's property or things just go up in smoke and you do nothing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And things like the bird and the egg. Also, but the one I sort of thought that a woman should not wear a man's apparel, nor a man should nor shall a man put on a woman's garment. Now, I was sort of wondering, now today would that meet with a certain sort of political...
I think that would be very politically incorrect in many circles today,
right.
but I think there is something there about actually... Well, I mean, I realise this would be open to debate with many people, but I would say this is very much about the fact that this is not saying that there aren't some people who are transgender, but that, men and women, God created men and women and created them to be different.
Right. You could interpret that on so many levels, because you could say that someone who does feel transgender and wants to change, actually, in a way, is actually already in the wrong clothes, and they should be putting on the right clothes.
That's
debatable.
Very debatable.
Okay, rewind.
But then again, this thing about environment and preserving things and looking after.
Right, looking after things.
You don't take the bird and the chicks. You just take the chicks, but let the mother, so that next year there will be some more chicks for you to take.
Right. Exactly, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And health and safety.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Also the sparrow, but I think it was already mentioned in previous chapters in Deuteronomy. So
yes,
this is not the first time.
Okay.
Can it also be a metaphor for something like if you create something substantial, you need to do it responsibly so that it doesn't affect others?
I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure this is, as you say, this is sort of, again, this whole thing about care for the other person. And the whole thing is about care for the other.
Right.
Which maybe is how you should read that whole thing about the men and women's apparel. It's about caring for each other.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think there's a deeper thought in there, isn't there? Somewhere I think one needs to explore a bit more.
And then 1 Peter 3, again, I mean, the whole point about 1 Peter is it is written to people who are powerless.
Right.
And in this culture, in this society, slaves were powerless, children were powerless, women were powerless.
Right.
And what Paul is saying is, what Peter is saying throughout this letter is, don't revolt, don't throw off your shackles, recognise where you are, but recognise that there is something that is bigger than where you are, you know, and so that actually here, well again, I think there's something very, very precious about this passage, because first of all, especially in today's culture where it's about appearance, what you look like, especially for women, it's about what you look like, how you're dressed. He's saying actually it doesn't matter. What matters is the inside.
The gentle spirit.
Is the gentle spirit and the sort of again the challenge to the husbands, the challenge to those who are in authority, over, you know, show consideration, paying honour to the women as the weaker sex. Again, that gets a lot of controversy about that, but actually I think without any doubt, usually men are physically stronger than women, and usually in domestic abuse cases, usually it's the men who are beating up the women rather than the other way round. But again, there's something bigger, so that nothing may hinder your prayers.
Right. Yes, it's a nice line, isn't it?
And then there's this phrase which echoes what there was yesterday in the Old Testament, but in a different way. So do not repay evil for evil or abuse for abuse, because yesterday there was this tooth for tooth, eye for eye.
Well done, yeah. Do not repay evil for evil, abuse for abuse, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's very interesting, do not repay evil for evil, but on the contrary, repay with a blessing. That's interesting. But then the next line is very interesting. It is for this that you were called, that you might inherit a blessing. It's sort of an interesting line there. So hang on, am I inheriting a blessing of someone that did some evil before? I find that a very interesting little line that was put in there about, it's just after the evil for evil, but repay with a blessing. I just find that intriguing.
And the blessing comes in here, those who desire to see life and see good days, let them keep their tongues from evil, their lips from speaking lies. Turn from evil, do good, seek peace and pursue it.
Right. It's got a lot of very rich,
lot to discuss, a lot to reflect on.
Yeah. And I should say, as someone who has graphic design and done advertising and communication in my life, the prayer book, this prayer book of which we have basically online, is one of the brilliant pieces of examples of design. And I've seen it actually quoted in other books. But you'll see here the correct use of the M dash, which you never hardly see anywhere, of the gracious gift of life, no gap, M dash, next word, so that nothing may hinder your prayers. Very few people know how to use that properly, so that indicates it's designed by really good people.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Right. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true.